Okay, so starting with your guided gridded web folder, we're going to be using the shape. Make sure it is set for shape. Make sure your fill is no fill and your stroke is black. Select from your, and make sure that's 2 pixels. Last but not least, under the line icon, make sure you're using a solid icon and your alignment is set to inside. That should be the first option there. And we're good to go. All right, there's a couple ways to place a shape. One way is to use your guides and just go ahead and drag and create using the little numbers to the side. Make sure that they're actually drawing out something that is correct. Now this is getting a little bit annoying and I'm not going to waste any more time doing it that way. So I'm going to throw that one away and I'm just going to, I know exactly the size of my shape. It needs to be 1,000 pixels wide and it needs to be 100 pixels in height. So I'm just going to go ahead, click once on the drawing and place it. I'm going to zoom in here, get my zoom in tool. Make sure things are actually aligning to my, so I'm going to get my move tool here and move that into place. Make sure it's actually sticking to the guide. Command 0 to zoom out. I can command possibly to turn off the grid for a moment, see if everything is staying in place. I might leave the grid off for a moment just because it's getting in my way. But I'm going to go over to my layer panel here and change rectangle to header, as that is what it's going to be. Then I'm going to click on my background color or background layer here and produce my next chunk of information here, which is going to be my menu. And again, I know my menu is 1,000 pixels wide and 50 pixels high. Click OK. And again, get my zoom in tool and make sure it's, yep, it's snapped into place nicely. If I really want to make sure everything's happening, I can work at this level. Though, make sure though you're naming things accordingly. This is my menu, so I'm going to go ahead and name that menu. Next bit is my carousel area. 1,000 width, and I can type in a height of 250. So let's type in that, 250. Click OK. I'm going to go Command 0 to zoom out. Sure enough, there's my, that's going to be my hero area, so I'll name that hero. Next bit is my content area, so I'll go ahead and click in the corner, and that's 1,000 pixels wide and a height of 200. And again, zooming in, making sure that it's sitting in the corner, and it is. Now I'm at my CTAs. Now let's make sure that that's named content. I'm going to have 3 CTAs. This is 1,000 pixels wide. 3 goes in 1,000, 33 and a third, or ... 330. I can't do portion. I have to have whole numbers for my pixels. So generally, what browsers do in that case would be make a first unit 333, the second one 333, and the last one would be 334. So to emulate that in my design, I know this is 300 pixels high. I'm going to go ahead and click in that corner there. Make this 333 wide, 300 high. And let's make sure it's in there right now. I'm going to leave that for the time being. Name it CTA though, so I don't forget it. And I'm going to move on, as we're going to come back to our CTAs anyway. So next one is my my footer menu. Again, that's 1,000 wide and 50 height. Click OK. And I'm going to actually have a footer a duplicate footer menu, so I can actually duplicate. Well, first of all, make sure that that actually went in there. It did. I could actually duplicate this box. I could recreate it again. I could just, well, either way. Click again. Boom, there it is. And again, make sure that you're naming these accordingly. And they have been arranged so that they are in the same hierarchy as they would appear on a website. In other words, starts with header, menu, hero, content, CTA, footer menu, and footer utility in that order. All right, so we got some vague beginning here, but we need to fill it out. I Command colon to see every of the boxes. I'm going to go ahead and turn my guides and grids back on again and add some notes and some other sub breakdown. First thing, I'm going to actually create a new sub section here up near my header where I'm going to incorporate my logo. So I'm going to incorporate my logo up here in a 100 by or 500 wide, split the area by 100 chunk of real estate. There has to be my logo box. And that should just, again, that should do that. There we go. And I'm going to add some text at this point. So I'm going to make sure I'm, again, a generic font. I got Times Regular is fine. 24 pixels fine. Make sure you're typing in black. Make sure your paragraph is well to the right if that's what it is. And in your character panel, make sure that everything that should be 0 is 0, including any of these. This should be at 100%. This should be at 100%. 0. We'll worry about this later. And again, I'm going to be typing in one thing that needs to be included, at least in the on the web, is the name of the project and the location thereof where it's eventually going to end up being on your design. So I'm going to go ahead and put that right in there like that. And it chose to be Myriad Pro, so I'm already committing crime. So I'm going to go ahead and move my layer panel up there. Change that to, again, to Times New Roman, so I'm not giving my Times Regular there. So I'm not giving my client any indicators. I also dragged the text up so that it's in that same area. I'm going to collapse my character panel there for a minute. All right, I got my logo and I got the text for my logo in the same area. I want to group these, so I'm going to select them both, and I can drag them down to the group folder icon in the layer panel, and turns into a group there, and name that logo. All right, I can use this same logo bin that I just created for my utility. It has the same information in there that I need. I'm going to duplicate that folder. I drag that down to the new layer icon, and there's logo copy. I'm going to, first of all, drag it down below the logo and change the name to utility. And then use the move tool. I can move the whole thing. I can hold down the shift key and use the guides and the pink smart guides, which appear there, which will tell me that everything is lining up nicely. I'm going to utility here. I am going to do two things. First of all, I'm going to change open up the graphic paragraph and change the alignment to the left so that when this goes in here, I can move that over to using the guides there to be 20 pixels off. I'm going to type in, double click on the T there, and add the beginning of my utility menu. So I got my about and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, contact. You'll be required to have at least 5 items in your main navigation. How that's distributed is up to you. In this case, 2 of them are more or less given, your about and your contact. So you need to come up with a couple more. Home does not count. All right, I'm going to take off utility there. So I got my header, my utility, and my logo. I'm going to select all 3 of those items and drag them down to the new group, and then group name that collectively header. So that everything now belongs, now I'm going to turn off my guides and grid there. So now everything that's in the header should now be in there. Nice, and as it goes. Next thing is my menu. Turn on my guides and grid here. I'm going to go in here. I'm going to take, I like this text right here where it aligns, its style and everything. I can actually acquire that. Again, drag that down to the, and then drag it out of the header folder and move it down to the menu here. Select it. I'm going to hold down the Shift key with my guide and then move it down so that it splits the difference, and use a Smart Guide for it to align with the top there on the side, and also use that to split the difference in my, let it go. And then double click on that and add, you have to add at least 3 more items to my, to your main menu. So whatever that might be, you add these. Yeah, let's see. So that would be 3 more items there. So that's my main map. And so I can take those texts that I just, those words, and join them with the menu, and again, create a subfolder. In our case, this is a main nav, or menu. If you have more than one in navigation, if you're going to be including a sub-navigation somewhere else, main nav would probably be your best nomenclature there. All right, whipping right along. Next thing is this hero. Now I'm going to be creating what's called a carousel. So I can take my text there. I'll just type in carousel. Let's see. First of all, I'll put some little arrow carrots in there, I guess it's called. And graphic, carousel. And a little more carrot. And let's position that in the center. And again, just because I should edit, check spelling, make sure I've spelled carousel. They don't like the word signage. I'll get used to it. In fact, I'm going to add that. Okay, everything's good. No, I spelled carousel right. Ruby. All right, so I'm going to position that in the middle there. Graphic carousel. And we'll zoom back in. I'm going to turn off the, let's see what's going on here. So I'm going to group my hero and my graphic carousel together. Name that hero. And move along. I've got content now. So again, like I said, I like the text there that I've been using all along, so I'm just going to grab some more text. Doesn't really matter. I guess this bit will work. Move that down to the content area. And then drag that down. And then using your grid and guides. And then first thing I'm going to have is the need for a header 1. So be a header 1, so it's like your main title. And then after that, I'll need a little bit more of content, so to speak. Oops. And again, this will be words, so I'll just move that down there and just put in some content. I'll just type in the word content. And I'm going to group all those in that content. Turn off the guides on the grid there. All right, CTAs. Now, I stopped in the middle of making this. It appeared like I stopped in the middle of doing this, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically do the layout of one CTA and then duplicate it 2 more times once I've worked it out. So the first thing I'm going to do is decide. I'm going to split my design here. I'm going to put a graphic up here and then some text down here. So I'm going to add a graphic box to my CTA here. I'll just use the existing grid there to help me out. So I'll make that 160. Wait, 330. Well, it's not giving it to me. Oh, come on, you little weasel. All right, somewhere in there. I'm going to name that graphic so I know that it's what that is. And again, go grab some text from someplace. Maybe my content, there's some, oh, look, there's text right there. So I'm going to multiply that, duplicate that, and then drag them down. It's got the spacing already, more or less, the positioning. But a header 1 only belongs up in that area here, this should be a header 2 or less, 3 or 4 or 5. And I got those little graphic bits, so I'm going to grab some more text there. I'll just grab that bit there and then double click on that and change that to graphic. So then I'll be putting a graphic in this area here. These should be grouped because that's what they are. They're a common element. That should be a graphic. And these are common. This is the content of that CTA, so I'll name that content CTA. And I'll group CTA graphic and graphic CTA all together. Name that CTA1. There's CTA1. So now I simply have to duplicate CTA1. I'll just, keep in mind of the hierarchy, and move it over. Use the zoom in there. That should they should be right next. There we go. And change that to 2. And again, just take 2 there and duplicate it. Change it to 3. Oops, select it and move it over. And if you want to be fussy, remember now we have to account for some extra. Let's see, we go there, and then we can open that up and Command T and move that over so it fills up that one extra little pixel to account for that. So Command 0 to zoom back out. I'm going to turn off that. So we got, there we go, whipping right along. I'm going to take all my CTAs and group them one more time in a common folder of just CTAs with an S. All right, seeing a pattern here. Now I've got a footer menu and a footer utility, and if I wanted to be really clever, I'd do that, and then I would do this. I'd throw those away, and I'd take my main navigation and I would duplicate it, drag it down to the bottom in the layer panel, and then drag the whole thing down, position it using my guides there. And I've already got my so I'll change that to footer nav. And I've got, we're going to zoom back out. I've got some text up here, my about and contact, edit copy. And go back to my footer nav there and tack that onto the end of that. 4, 5, Command V, there that is. That's my footer nav. And the last one is to duplicate my footer nav, copy there, and change that to footer utility. And then again, move that down in the design. Make sure that's aligning properly, yes. And then change the text in here. Now this is something else you need to account for. Make sure you, again, Option G for your copyright, and then give yourself a date, and then put your name on here. So you're basically, oops, there we go. Can't spell my own name. So put your name on there, and then I'm going to, little login menu, I've got one more little thing to duplicate. I'm going to go back up to my header about utility, duplicate that. Again, that has the alignment that I like. Oops, disappeared, so I'll go back, there it is, and grab that. I'm going to drag that to my footer utility. Hold down my shift key, drag that whole thing down to my, that's centered, and just change that to login. Log in. Notice how I use, again, the smart guides there aligned everything up nicely. So now that's all aligned exactly where I want. And there is my, that's that. Now, I'm going to select all of these together. Oh, one more last thing. I'm going to do, okay, I can group up my footer there. So that's one little bin there. And then I'm going to grab all of these together, hold down my shift key, click on the footer there, and group that one last time as my home. And I can save this properly, so it's save. And that's my home frame. Fun? Okay, so now to create my contact page. Now remember, a lot of things are redundant, and a lot of and every style should be completely redundant. So to maintain continuity we'll just duplicate our home. I'm going to rearrange, okay, again in the hierarchy, home will be first, the next one will be content. So I'll change that to content or topic. Well, it doesn't really matter. Content might be a little crazy, so I'll rename it topic. Okay, remember now, main header, main navigation, and footer are always going to stay. All that happens is the stuff that goes on in the middle. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to turn some things off. CTAs, I'm going to make a decision. I'm not going to have any CTAs on my topic page, so I'll just go ahead and throw my CTAs away. Now notice again, this isn't damaging anything. It's just stuff I already had duplicated. Next thing is, as a topic page, majority of it's going to be content. 90% of a topic page should be content. Well, actually 100% of it, including the graphic. I'm going to turn my guides back on. Command, take my content, hold down the Shift key, and push it up so that it's in the hierarchy. It is, right below the main navigation. I'm going to open it up. I'm going to click on the content, edit free transform, and extend it down to the foot of so that it implies that this entire page is content. Although it's always good to add a little image. So I've got my little hero folder here. I'm going to turn on my guides again and repurpose my hero. I'm going to change that to graphic. And double T that and just edit this strategically. Oh look, the word graphics in there already for me. So I'll just take that out and move that over here. And I got my hero here, which again I will change that name to graphic. I could have probably copied and pasted that. And then edit free transform and change that box to another size. So in this case, I'll just use those guides and then apply that and reposition my graphic word there, and Command colon to turn that off. And just like that, I've got my home wireframe and I got my topic wireframe. Ruby, file save.